Having an affair with your good friend's wife while he's in an institution and your wife is in a hospital ranks somewhere between Benedict Arnold and the guy who invented Girls Gone Wild on the spectrum of total dickheads in American history. If Peggy's personal star was on the rise, Arnold's was in freefall as their respective ships headed into the high seas. Arnold went into treason as into a business, surveying the ground and estimating the possible profits. To soften relations between the two groups and meet Philadelphia's fashionable young beauties, Arnold hosted a ball at the City Tavern with a guest list that included Tories and neutralists, as well as patriots. Inevitably, the disaffected emerged triumphant, their beaded gowns gleaming in the candlelight, their 2-feet-high hairdos towering over the caps of patriot women in their crude clothes. Peggy was equally enchanted with the older, more sexually experienced Arnold. Long after their honeymoon and first years of marriage, she continued to praise Arnold as the best of husbands. Raised in an era when women were valued for their sexuality, solicitude, and silence, the 18-year-old stood loyally by Arnold's side. If Arnold's leap to the British was to succeed, Peggy must play the innocent as his cheerful and charming young wife. Peg, cowering in her bedroom, asked her housekeeper to check on the ailing Varick. Then, willing herself into a frenzy, she tore at her hair and clothes, weeping, her sobs accelerating in volume. Contradictory emotions roiled over her, grief over Arnold's thwarted plans and their mutual hopes for a large reward, relief that her husband was safe, coupled with doubts about their marriage. Would she ever see Arnold again? The former Philadelphia Belle's evolution from the fragile, compliant bride FO the American traitor to a restrained wife was remarkable enough, but what followed was even more surprising, a revelation of strengths Peggy long held in reserve. The former Philadelphia Belle's evolution from the fragile, compliant bride of the American traitor to a restrained wife was remarkable enough, but what followed was even more surprising, a revelation of strengths Peggy long held in reserve. To most Americans, Peggy remains an enigmatic and nearly forgotten figure. Early historians depicted the former Philadelphia Belle as a loyalist whose fondness for British officer John Andre led her to corrupt Arnold's political views. By the early 20th century, members of her family attempted to correct that view. Having scanned the faces of the spectators, Andre mounted the wagon, stood on the coffin, removed his hat, and lowered his shirt collar. "It will be but a momentary pang," Dr. James Thatcher heard him say. Seizing the noose, Andre brought it over his head, tied a knot under his left ear, and placed a handkerchief over his eyes. When asked for his last words, the British officer raised his handkerchief. "I pray you to bear me witness that I meet my fate like a brave man. I'm selfish, impatient, and a little insecure. I make mistakes, I am out of control and at times hard to handle. But if you can't handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best. You've got to dance like there's nobody watching. Love like you'll never be hurt. Sing like there's nobody listening. And live like it's heaven on earth. Who are you to judge the life I live? I know I'm not perfect. And I don't live to be. But before you start pointing fingers, make sure your hands are clean."